everyone, it's Nina and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing another new releases video. I did one of these at the end of 2023 of some of the new releases that I was excited for coming out in 2024, and I wanted to do an updated one of just new releases coming out in the next couple months. Since the first one I did was just kind of like general ones for the entirety of the year. But since then, I've done a little bit more research into specific ones that are going to be coming out in the next couple months. So I thought this would be a good time to share them all with you. Some of these books are ones I'm super excited for and know like 100% I'm going to be getting. Other ones are just things that I think sound vaguely interesting. And if I get around to them, that's good. But if not, it's not a huge deal. But I do think that they might be interesting to you guys as my audience, since they were things that jumped out to me when I was like looking through Storygraph and Goodreads. I think I have around like 10 or 11 books I'm going to be talking about in this video. So hopefully from this video you'll be able to find some new releases that sound interesting that you might want to check out on your own time as well. So with that intro out of the way, let's get into the video. So first off, we're going to be talking about all the books coming out in June, and I have these listed in chronological order. The first one is a book that's coming out on June 6th, and that is Pole Position by Rebecca J. Caffrey. This book I saw when I was browsing NetGalley, and I thought it sounded pretty interesting. This is a MMF1 sports romance. I wanted to include this basically because flashback to the end of 2023 when I did my trends video. At the end of last year, I said that I think F1 romances were going to become like the new hot thing in terms of sport romances. And I feel like now that we've gotten like a gay version of it, I can safely say that this is a trend. I don't know anything about F1, but I know a lot of people really like it. A lot of people that you wouldn't expect to be really into F1 are really into F1. And I feel like it's grown in popularity over the course of 2023. So it makes sense that now in 2024, it would be popping up as a topic in a lot of romance books. So yes, just interested in seeing what this one is all about. Next book I want to talk about comes out on June 11th, and that is Running Close to the Wind by Alexandra Rowland. This is a historical fantasy queer romance book that has found family and gay pirates. From what I've seen in early reviews, there is no smut, but it is like surprisingly horny, which honestly, all of those things I can always get behind. A lot of people are saying this is kind of like the fantasy romance version of Our Flag Means Death, which I've watched the first season of. Haven't gotten around to watching the second season yet, but I think overall the vibes for that sound amazing. I know Alexandra Rowland is pretty popular from her other book that came out like a couple years ago, and I've been meaning to check that one out as well, but this one sounds maybe a little bit more up my alley. So yes, excited to see what this one is like when it comes out. It also sounds like it's very, very funny, which I always appreciate in my romance books. Okay, the next book I wanted to talk about comes out on June 18th, and that is Of Jade and Dragons by Amber Chen. This is the Illumicrate pick as well as the Owlquate YA pick for June. And this is a YA silkpunk novel, so it's a blend of both sci-fi and fantasy. Silkpunk is kind of like steampunk, but with a heavier emphasis on the East Asian setting or using East Asian history and motifs in the speculative fiction genre. I actually already read this because I got an ARC of it. Thank you so much to Viking Books for Young Readers and NetGalley for providing me with an e-ARC for review purposes. And I really like this book. I'm going to give it 4 stars. I really like the main character of Ying. I feel like she just really girl bosses so hard in this book. And her romance with Ye Yang is just like, ugh, chef's kiss, pining, and fan service. It's a really good debut novel and start of a series. I'm definitely going to be getting it in my Illumicrate subscription when it comes out. Okay, those are all the books I have in June. Now let's move on to July. I only have one, and that is Hera by Jennifer Saint. This one actually might already be out in the UK, but I'm pretty sure the US release date is July 23rd. And this is Jennifer Saint's most recent Greek mythology retelling. I've read all 3 of her other books to differing levels of success. I really liked her first book, Ariadne, and have gone down in rating with her following 2 books, Electra and Atalanta. So I really don't know how this one will go. But I do think that since Hera is such like a big figure and has involvement in so many different Greek myths, it's going to be interesting on what Jennifer Saint decides to focus on. So I am very interested and have high hopes that this book will end up being good. Now let's move on to the books that are coming out in August. The first one I have here comes out on August 13th, and that is The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. This is likely going to be Illumicrate's July pick. I'm just going to read what it's described as because I feel like that's a good summary of what makes me interested in this book. It says it is a heartwarming, laugh-out-loud, cozy fantasy romance debut with an uplifting ode to queer joy. Those are all things I love in a book. I think it's also a sapphic rivals to lovers and involves a lot of like different magical creatures. And I think has like some sort of like magical zoo element to it. Overall, it sounds really cute. I feel like both the US and the UK covers are really beautiful, so I'm excited to see what Illumicrate ends up doing for this one. Okay, moving on to the next book, which is also coming out on August 13th. We have Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. This is probably going to be Illumicrate's pick for August. And this is a adult fantasy with blood magic and an MMF poly romance. Honestly, a bunch of things that I love in books. Really just like, girl, sign me up for this one. This book I'm so hyped for, and it's probably like one of the main reasons I'm keeping my Illumicrate subscription, because I really want to see what they do with this book and get the special edition when it comes out. It just sounds so good and like a perfect combination of a lot of things I'm already interested in books. This is probably one of the ones that if it wasn't an Illumicrate pick, I probably would end up pre-ordering it just in general. But I'm excited to see what the special editions of this one end up looking like. Next book I want to talk about is coming on August 15th, and that is Not for the Faint of Heart by Lex Croucher. This is a YA historical romance that has a loose Robin Hood retelling. This is kind of like a placeholder in that I'm not super interested in this book specifically, but I do want to check out other books by Lex Croucher. I've wanted to look at their writing for a while now, since I've heard they are very funny and quirky. I don't know if this is the one I'm going to end up going for, but this is kind of loosely a companion to a book that they had last year that was pretty popular. So if you're looking for that one, this is kind of like more of the same flavor. And they both kind of are interesting to me because I was a huge fan both of like Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and Robin Hood a ton when I was like in elementary school. So I'd be interested to see what they do with both of those as retellings. Okay, next book that's coming out in August is also coming out on August 15th. And this one I am so excited for. It is You're the Problem, It's You by Emma R. Alban. This is the sequel companion book to Don't Want You Like a Best Friend. It follows the cousins of the main characters, Beth and Gwen, in the previous book, who are Bobby and James. I'm so excited for this book, mostly because of how much I loved Don't Want You Like a Best Friend. I'm really excited to see what the sequel book is going to hold and just get to learn more about Bobby and James and see their relationship develop. It is more of like an enemies to lovers, which again is not my favorite trope, but I think that since M.R. Alban is like a really funny writer, she'll at least like probably create some good level of banter. I did apply for an arc of this one from NetGalley, so fingers crossed I can get it ahead of time, because honestly, I need this book like yesterday. Okay, the last book I wanted to talk about for this video is Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This is the third and final book in the Belladonna trilogy. I am quite nervous about this one because I really liked Belladonna and I wasn't a huge fan of Foxglove. And the things that I loved about Belladonna, I think we're getting further and further away from them as the series has gone on. Mostly because this one is primarily going to focus on the relationship of Blythe and Fate, and that Signa, who's the main character from Belladonna, is not even supposed to be a POV character in this one. But I'm sure we'll get some small snippets of her and her relationship with Death on like the sidelines. And I do honestly like the romance between Blythe and Fate, so I'm not like too mad about it, but I am like wondering what the overarching plot is going to be, since the second one of the series did feel a little bit meandering. Overall, I just am excited to read this one to finish off the series, and I also am still crossing my fingers that this one will end up being as good as Belladonna was. So that's a look at some books that are coming out in June, July, and August. I'm excited to pick up a lot of these, hopefully when they come out as special editions in some of the book boxes I'm subscribed to. But that's gonna be it for this video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, consider liking, commenting, or subscribing if you aren't already. Consider following me on the Storygraph if you'd like to see my reading updates in real time, as well as following my Bookstagram, which is linked in the description. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!